Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm 24, a financial analyst in Chicago. And this is the story of how I uncovered my stepfather's web of lies. You need to see this, Nancy, Karen says, sliding her chair next to mine and pointing at my computer screen. We're burning the midnight oil at Morton and Associates, combing through client accounts riddled with discrepancies. My stomach tightens when I spot the account number on the screen. It's from Nathan's business portfolio, I mutter. Another one this week. These transfers don't match the reported investments. I rub my temples, the tension creeping back as memories flood in. 8 years ago, my mom met Nathan Cooper at a charity gala. Within 6 months, they were married. I was just 16, watching him quietly take over every aspect of our lives. Remember when he tried to talk me out of majoring in finance? I tell Karen, creating a folder to isolate the suspicious transactions. Yeah, your stepdad always gave me the creeps, Karen replies, her tone sharp. The way he monitors your mom's spending, how he convinced her to cancel her art classes because they were too expensive. Meanwhile, he's funneling thousands into phantom accounts. My phone buzzes, interrupting our conversation. It's Uncle Kevin. Nancy, are you free for coffee tomorrow? We need to talk about Nathan. Relief washes over me. Finally, someone else sees it too. Uncle Kevin has never bought into Nathan's perfect businessman act. That evening, I'm sitting at the dinner table with Mom when Nathan walks in. Linda, darling, I need you to sign these papers for the house renovation, he says, placing a folder in front of her. Something about the papers catches my eye. Mom, wait. Nancy, this is between your mother and me, Nathan says, his voice dripping with condescension. Actually, as her financial advisor, which yes, no one asked me to be, I'm protecting her. His face reddens. Protecting her. I've given you both everything. Your college education, this lifestyle. You mean the college you tried to talk me out of? The one Uncle Kevin had to push you to support. I fire back. Mom looks confused, her eyes darting between us. Nathan, what is she talking about? Nothing, Linda, Nathan says quickly, his mask slipping. Nancy's been working too hard. She's seeing conspiracies where there aren't any. I pull out my phone, scrolling to the photos I took of his hidden accounts. Really? Then explain these transfers to untraceable accounts. His composure cracks for a moment, revealing a dark, furious expression. You've been spying on my business. No, I reply, standing firm. I've been doing my job. And tomorrow, I'm meeting Robert to discuss some interesting findings. The color drains from his face before he quickly recovers. We'll discuss this later, he snaps, leading Mom away. But I noticed his hands trembling. Later that night, Karen texts me. Documents secured. Meeting with Robert set for 9 a.m. I reply, perfect. Time to end this charade. My apartment looks like a crime scene with papers scattered everywhere. Karen sits cross-legged on the floor, highlighter in hand. These transfer patterns are insane, I mutter, scanning documents. Holy crap, Nancy, Karen exclaims, pointing at her laptop. Look at this account in the Caymans. The deposits match exactly with the missing investor funds. The puzzle pieces are finally coming together. Nathan isn't just hiding money, he's stealing it. My phone rings. It's Robert, our firm's compliance officer. Nancy, can you talk? Go ahead, I say, putting him on speaker. Karen leans in. The investors are asking questions about their returns. Robert explains. Nathan's getting nervous. Yesterday, he tried to access the main investment account, but the system flagged it. Did he say why? I ask. He claims it's for the Morrison deal, but that doesn't close for another month. Something's off. Karen nudges me, pointing to her screen. Check this out. I lean over and freeze. There are regular transfers to someone named Catherine Wells. Robert, I ask, my voice steady. Do you know a Catherine Wells? A heavy pause. Nathan's assistant from the Denver office. Young, blonde, started 6 months ago. Why? My stomach churns. The one he personally hired. Just then, Uncle Kevin walks in carrying a stack of papers. Nancy, you need to see this, he says, spreading out files on the table. Divorce records, police reports, business filings. Nathan's tangled web reaches across 3 states. Nathan Cooper had spent years crafting the illusion of the perfect family man and astute businessman. But that mask was about to shatter. Your stepfather's been doing this for years, Uncle Kevin says grimly, spreading out more documents on my dining table. 2 previous marriages, both ending right after big business deals. Both ex-wives claimed financial fraud, but the cases disappeared, just like your mom's friends did when he came into her life. I think about how Nathan systematically isolated Mom, controlling every aspect of her existence. My phone buzzes, pulling me from my thoughts. It's a text from one of Nathan's business partners, Morrison deal closing next week. Nathan planning immediate departure afterward. I feel the blood drain from my face. He's going to leave Mom with nothing, I whisper, my hands trembling. All these wire transfers, he's been planning his escape for months. Karen grips her laptop tightly. We need copies of everything. Like yesterday. We work through the night, scanning, copying, and organizing evidence. Bank statements proving embezzlement, emails between Nathan and Catherine detailing their plans, and records of his previous fraudulent schemes. Uncle Kevin calls his law enforcement contacts, while Karen helps me divide everything into 3 folders. Evidence for the investors, personal files for Mom, and criminal records for the police. I glance at the calendar. Christmas dinner is in 2 days, I say, my voice steady. Everyone will be there. Investors, business partners, family. Perfect timing. Uncle Kevin nods. Maximum impact. The dining room sparkles with Christmas lights as Mom fusses over the table settings. Nathan, ever the gracious host, sits at the head of the table, charming Robert and the other investors. He's in his element, basking in their admiration. Wonderful dinner, Linda, Robert says, raising his glass. Though I'm surprised you invited the whole firm. Christmas is about family, Nathan says smoothly, and some of us are practically family, aren't we, Catherine? Nathan freezes mid-sip, choking on his wine as Catherine shifts uncomfortably in her seat. I'd made sure to invite her, pretending it was a gesture of office inclusion. Before dessert, I stand. I have something important to share, I announce, pulling out a thick folder. Nancy, not now, Nathan hisses, his voice low and threatening. Actually, it's perfect timing, I counter, handing out copies to everyone. These documents show where the Morrison investors' money really went. Fascinating reading. Mom frowns as she flips through her papers. What are these bank transfers to Catherine Wells? That's what I'd like to know, Robert says, his tone icy as he studies the documents. Nathan lunges for the files, but I'm ready. Careful, I warn, stepping back. There are copies with the SEC. You little. Nathan snaps, swinging at me in rage. Uncle Kevin catches his arm mid-swing. Don't you dare touch her. Linda, she's lying. Nathan protests, struggling against Uncle Kevin's grip. Like you lied to your previous wives? I retort, pulling out another set of papers. The ones you bankrupted in Denver and Houston. Catherine stands suddenly, her chair scraping the floor. Previous wives? You told me you were married once. Baby, I can explain. Nathan pleads, desperation cracking his voice. Don't baby me, you said we'd start fresh after the Morrison deal. Mom's face goes pale. Start fresh, she whispers. He was planning to leave me, broke and alone. I nod. Just like the others. The sound of approaching sirens fills the room. Police burst through the door moments later, shouting commands. Nathan tries to run but is tackled to the ground, his furious protests drowned out by the chaos. You've been betrayed, he screams as they cuff him. You'll all pay for this. The only traitor here is you, I say coldly, and now everyone knows it. Mom collapses into Uncle Kevin's arms, sobbing. Catherine, visibly shaken, hands her phone to an officer before slipping out the door. Nathan's business partners huddle in a corner, their faces pale as they frantically strategize damage control with their lawyers. As the chaos of that fateful Christmas faded into memory, our lives transformed in ways we never imagined. For the first time in 8 years, I saw something in Mom's eyes I hadn't seen before. Freedom. The fear Nathan had instilled in her was gone, replaced by a quiet strength. As the police led him away that night, she mouthed, "Thank you." Now, a year later, I cradle my phone while watching Mom hang ornaments on our new Christmas tree. Mom, you won't believe who just called. She turns to me, a smile softening her features, something she does freely these days. Please tell me it's good news. I've had enough drama for a lifetime. Nathan's second ex-wife, I say, unable to hide my grin. She's joining the class action lawsuit. That makes 5 victims now. Good, Mom says firmly. Let him face every single person he hurt. The TV catches our attention as the anchor announces breaking news. Investment mogul Nathan Cooper faces additional fraud charges in Denver. His former associate, Catherine Wells, has provided key testimony. Turn it up. Karen calls from the kitchen, walking in with mugs of hot chocolate. The report continues. Cooper's assets have been frozen across 3 states. Sources say his legal troubles mounted after his dramatic arrest at a family Christmas dinner last year. I smile at the memory, absently touching my jaw where his swing had left a bruise. It's long gone now, but the victory remains as sweet as ever. Hey, speaking of victory, Karen says with a grin, should we tell her? Tell me what? Mom asks, looking between us curiously. Karen nudges me, and I can't keep it in any longer. Mom, meet Morton and Associates' newest junior partner. The board voted this morning. Tears well up in her eyes as she pulls me into a tight hug. My brilliant girl. Robert said they're renaming the firm next year. Karen adds, it'll be Morton, Mitchell, and Associates. Just then, Uncle Kevin walks in carrying his ever-present stack of files. Just met with the lawyers, he says, setting them down. Nathan's plea deal fell through. Catherine's testimony destroyed his defense. How many years is he facing? I ask. Minimum 20, Uncle Kevin replies. His former business partners aren't playing nice, either. They're liquidating everything. Mom adjusts a framed photo on the mantel, her with her friends from the art class she rejoined after Nathan's arrest. Remember how he said my art was a waste of money? She asks, her voice tinged with pride. Well, guess who just sold 3 paintings? Before I can respond, the doorbell rings. It's our neighbors, bringing Christmas cookies. Under Nathan's reign, we never had simple moments like this. Oh, show them the magazine, Mom exclaims, hurrying to grab a copy of the business journal. The cover features my expose on financial fraud prevention. You know what's ironic? I say, holding the magazine up. He always said I'd never understand finance like he did. Now his case is taught in fraud prevention classes. The news report wraps up with a satisfying conclusion. Cooper's former associates have faced charges, and his hidden accounts have been seized. Karma, it seems, has caught up with him. Outside, carolers sing, their voices filling the air with joy. Mom hums along as she places cookies on a tray. She used to love caroling before Nathan deemed it wasteful. But Nathan's power over us is gone now, replaced by something stronger. Truth, justice, and the unbreakable bond between mother and daughter. Life without toxic people isn't just possible, it's beautiful. So what would you do if you discovered your parent's spouse was living a complete double life? Would you expose them immediately or gather evidence silently, like I did? Would you feel guilty for breaking up their marriage, even if it was built on lies? I'm 39 years old and married to my 44-year-old husband. We've been married for 5 years, and he has 2 children from a previous marriage, a 24-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son. My relationship with his daughter is wonderful. She's responsible, finished college, and though she lives far away, we enjoy spending time together whenever she visits. I've never tried to be her mother, but we've developed a respectful friendship. I even maintain a peaceful, if not particularly close, relationship with the children's mother. The challenge lies with my stepson Jason. Since we met, he's shown a pattern of irresponsible behavior. After barely finishing high school, he chose neither college nor learning a trade. While I respect that college isn't for everyone, his approach to work has been consistently careless. Recently, his behavior has escalated. A while back, he showed up unexpectedly one night, only to ask for $5,000 the next day to repair a luxury car he couldn't afford to maintain. My husband gave him the money without hesitation. 2 months ago, Jason visited again, this time with his girlfriend of 5 months. After some small talk, they announced they were expecting a baby and asked to move in with us. They explained their current apartment was too small. Jason's income was insufficient, and his girlfriend wanted to be a stay-at-home mother. Without consulting me, my husband immediately said yes. There was just one significant detail. The house is mine. I bought it before our marriage, and while we share everything as a couple, it remains in my name. My husband was renting when we met, having used his savings to help his children, paying part of his daughter's college tuition, and giving Jason money to get started after high school. When I asked if the pregnancy was planned, Jason grinned and explained it just happened because his girlfriend changed birth control methods and they didn't use protection because he doesn't like condoms. They laughed as if it were amusing, but I found nothing funny about their irresponsibility. I asked for time to think about their request, which earned me disapproving looks from everyone. That night, I confronted my husband about making such a significant decision without consulting me. He accused me of being selfish, insisting he would do anything necessary for his son and future grandchild. The next morning, they ambushed me before I'd had my coffee. Jason's girlfriend suggested that if they couldn't move in, I should at least help them find a bigger apartment. My husband jumped in, proposing we both contribute financially to support them. I lost my patience and told them honestly that while I sympathized with their situation, it wasn't my responsibility to solve it. They reacted badly, with Jason's girlfriend calling me a bitter old woman who would never have children and suggesting I was jealous. Jason laughed and implied I probably couldn't have children, which hurt deeply, not because I can't have them, but because I chose not to. When my husband took their side instead of defending me, I gave him an ultimatum. If he supported their behavior, he could leave with them. He tried to claim rights to the house, but I reminded him it was in my name. A few hours ago, they all left, including my husband. Now that I've had time to calm down and think, I believe I made the right decision, though I feel guilty about kicking out my husband. But I refuse to take responsibility for their poor choices and disrespectful behavior. Many people pointed out that if Jason truly wanted to be a good father, he should be actively seeking ways to secure his family's future, perhaps getting a second job or looking for better opportunities, rather than taking the easy route of relying on others for support. He needs to learn about making sacrifices and handling adult responsibilities. His girlfriend could also contribute by working temporarily during her pregnancy, even as she plans to be a stay-at-home mother after the baby arrives. This could help them build some savings and cover their expenses. Regarding my decision to ask my husband to leave, while I never wanted to weaponize house ownership or make him feel like he lives here only because I allow it, his behavior in making unilateral decisions without consulting me was concerning. After leaving, he sent only a few messages. First, he informed me he was staying in a motel and that Jason had returned to his city. Then he criticized my actions, insisting he should have the right to decide if his son could live with us, and accused me of not understanding what it means to be a good parent. I responded that while he could make decisions about helping his son, we're a team, and major decisions need to be made together. His reply was dismissive. According to him, there was nothing to discuss since it involved his son, and he couldn't let them live in a cramped apartment when we had space. I suggested he consult his daughter and ex-wife to see if they would be willing to let Jason and his girlfriend move in with them. He thought this was a great idea, confident they would prove how selfish I was being by agreeing to help family in need. Days passed without any word from him. I strongly suspect neither his ex-wife nor daughter would agree to his proposal. His ex-wife, while a good mother, has always been clear about Jason needing to learn independence. And his daughter, though she gets along with her brother, is very independent and focused on her own life. Several days later, there have been some revealing conversations with my husband's daughter and ex-wife, both of whom have clear opinions about the situation. My husband still hasn't returned home, not because I've forbidden it, but because his pride prevents him from acknowledging his mistakes or apologizing, despite people close to him pointing out the problems with his behavior. My stepdaughter called me after her father contacted her to complain about how I had treated him. My stepdaughter revealed that when my husband called to vent about me refusing to let Jason move in and kicking him out, he got an unexpected reaction. She immediately scolded him for not consulting me before offering our home to Jason and his girlfriend. When he asked if she would let her brother move in with her, she firmly refused, citing the same concerns about Jason's lack of planning and responsibility. She called to tell me she fully understood and supported my position. His ex-wife also reached out, surprisingly, to apologize for his behavior. During our conversation, she shared some illuminating history about my husband's pattern of making unilateral decisions. Once he came home and announced he quit his job to take another position without any prior discussion. Though the new job eventually proved beneficial, the initial change significantly impacted their family finances. Another time, he enrolled in an expensive course while they were still paying their mortgage and supporting 2 children. The course wasn't necessary for his job, just something he wanted to do for personal interest. When he asked his ex-wife about housing Jason, she also refused, agreeing with me that it wasn't her responsibility to support a young adult who wasn't making responsible choices. She suggested that the best thing my husband could do was apologize, noting that while he'd been impulsive before, this situation was particularly egregious. 3 weeks later, after 3 weeks of silence, the situation has only deteriorated. Yesterday, my husband finally called. The conversation started surprisingly casual, asking about me and the house, as if weeks hadn't passed since this conflict began. I kept my responses polite but neutral. However, his calm demeanor didn't last. He suddenly changed tone and declared that I should be the one apologizing. He believed this time apart should have made me realize that letting Jason and his family move in was the right thing to do. When I calmly stated that my position hadn't changed and that he was the one who needed to apologize. The final conversation. During our phone call, I reminded him about making decisions without consulting me and disrespecting our relationship. He maintained he had nothing to apologize for, convinced he was right to help his son and that I had been unreasonable. When I asked if he'd spoken to his daughter or ex-wife about housing Jason, without revealing I'd already talked to them, he quickly dismissed the idea. He claimed that as Jason's father, he didn't need anyone else's opinion about helping his son. The irony wasn't lost on me. If he truly believed parents should help their children without involving others, then Jason clearly hadn't learned that lesson of responsibility. I told him my decision was final and that I would only consider reconciliation if he apologized and acknowledged his impulsive decision-making. Instead, he became angrier and declared that if I was going to be unreasonable, we should get divorced. Then he hung up. 8 months later, 2 weeks after that conversation, I received divorce papers. When I tried calling to discuss things one last time, he refused, saying he'd made his decision. I accepted this and signed the papers. However, halfway through the divorce process, my ex-husband appeared at my doorstep unexpectedly. He'd admitted to acting impulsively with the divorce and wanted to reconcile. My response was straightforward: his pattern of impulsive decisions, offering our home to Jason without consultation, demanding a divorce, was exactly why I couldn't continue the relationship. I reminded him that when we could have talked things through, he had completely shut down communication, convinced he was right despite everyone telling him otherwise. The aftermath. The divorce is now final. Through his daughter, with whom I maintain a good relationship, I learned that my ex-husband has rented a house and is living with Jason, his girlfriend, and their baby. He got what he wanted from the start, but I'm convinced it won't end well. Knowing Jason's pattern, it's likely only a matter of time before he starts asking for more money or things become complicated. But that's no longer my concern. We've both moved on, and while it's sad to see a marriage end this way, I'm at peace with the outcome. Some relationships simply aren't meant to last, especially when fundamental values and communication styles are incompatible.